My name is Sadie, and I am 28 years. I am a housewife. I have been working for this company all my life, but when I found out that I was pregnant, they told me to leave. But this year, our daughter Nicole and my husband, Kevin, decided to leave their jobs at the CC and become full-time freelancers. I asked him repeatedly whether he had an income from working as a freelancer. Every time I asked him, he kept dodging my question. Oh, don't worry. Working as a freelancer is much better than being an unrewarding employee. And with that, he began working from home. At first, it seemed like my husband and I were doing well because he was getting jobs from multiple clients. But gradually, the work orders he would receive became fewer and farther between. I felt that it was mentally tough to child while depending everything on husband's unstable income alone. So, daughter turned 2 years old. I asked the company I had worked for to allow me to return to work as at least a part-time worker so that I could work shorter hours. And since I started my part-time job with the company, we have been able to make a living as a family. So while I was at work, my husband, the one to take care of our daughter. I was a little worried because my husband is a bit of a sloppy person who would leave things lying around. But when our daughter started kindergarten, I had to get organized. He suggested and insisted that he would take her to and from kindergarten. Well, there's no rule that the wife has to always be the one to do the house chores or take care of the children. So, like this, I convinced myself that there are many married couples with this kind of marriage nowadays. But then something feels a little my husband lately. I do really know the reason why, have a gut feeling that there is some strange going on with my husband. My husband is always clutching onto phone very close to him and staring phone screen with a huge grin on his, and he even takes his phone into the bathroom or takes his phone with him while he's taking a bath. Now recently, he has been going out more and more compared to before. There was this one incident where my wife went out during the day while our daughter stayed behind. And when my wife tried to pick up something that had fallen on the floor, she slipped and fell. She climbed up on the chair, fell off, and broke her arm. To what had happened, I asked my sister why she hadn't taken proper care of Nicole. Why didn't you look after her properly? I couldn't believe that they would even go out and leave Nicole alone. What do you mean by own time? And what responsibility do you have in raising your daughter?
Esk, you're such a pain in the neck. Women like you make me so pissed off.
Kevin would say all these kinds of things to defend himself. And to me, everything he said was completely unbelievable. It feels like my husband has completely changed his mind towards another woman and doesn't care about me or daughter anymore. I was so shocked and stunned by what had happened that I felt as though there was a huge hole in my heart which was being filled with sadness. Since that incident, my husband has been staying out frequently, not even coming home. For the night, without any hesitation, saying that he had to go out to Co-O. The last time Kevin came back home, I stayed overnight somewhere. He didn't even tell me where he stayed, but it was clear that he had a hickey on his neck, that it felt like as if he was trying it off. Seeing this, I was completely sure Kevin has been doing, I don't need a guy like him, and I just want to divorce him as soon as possible. If Kevin keeps on treating me like probably thinks of me as just his, he can just get money off from. When I thought like that, I was just frustrated and disappointed that Kevin thought of me that way. I wanted to get away from him in a way that was advantageous to me, and that would make my life more stable after our divorce. So I tried to find out more about him and his affair. But he was very tight-lipped about hiding what he had been doing. He had done and did not leave any clues as to what he had been up to. The other day, while my husband was away, I secretly took his finger and used his fingerprint authentication on his phone to check his messages. But to my surprise, the conversation with the woman who seemed to be having an argument with him was nowhere to be found, as he deleted the chat and the data entirely. What should I do? While I was being troubled by no evidence of my husband's affair, I finally learned the whole truth about his affair. One day, suddenly the middle of my phone rang, and that call was from the police. I had asked the police what had happened after hearing the police story that my husband had been in a car accident. My husband had rented a car, and it was he who had caused the car accident. Only my husband and a woman, a passenger in the car, were seriously injured. And that woman, I'm sure, was whom having an affair with. On the day Kevin left, he said it was for a business trip for his job. But the truth was that Kevin was at a trip with the woman who he was chimmy with. I almost went hysterical with anger, but managed to calm myself down, called my parents, asked them to take care of my daughter, and rushed to the hospital. The receptionist at the hospital told us that neither Kevin nor the woman were in a life-threatening condition, which was a relief, but according to the doctor who was charged of Kevin and the mistress, that there was a possibility that would not be able to walk. Wheelchair. I also asked about the condition of the person who was in the car with Kevin. The doctor didn't give me any details. She said that the car window was broken and that a piece of glass had pierced her face, which left a cut. The doctor also said that the woman's neck injury from the impact of and that she was currently lying or with her neck immobilized. I felt a little sorry for Kevin's mistress because she has a huge scar on her face. But at the same time, I felt in my heart that that is what she deserved. When I entered the hospital room, which was a two-person room, I saw Kevin and the woman who appeared to be his mistress lying side by side in the bed. The nurse said that normally men would have separate rooms, but this only room available for now, which they were both put in the same room. I stood in front of the woman and looked at her face. Oh, I think I've seen her somewhere before. Then, as I thought to myself, I realized that I had been wrong. So, in other words, my husband was having an affair with the kindergarten teacher. So, in other words, my husband was affair with the kindergarten teacher, Laura. No wonder my husband insisted on taking our daughter to and from kindergarten every day. It was pretty unusual for him to even offer. And now that I think about it, Kevin insisted on going to parent-teacher conferences. And so it was that everything became clear to me now. My husband seemed to wake up and notice that I wasn't there and said, "Oh,
I knew that you were cheating on me, but I did realize that you were also seeing our daughter's kindergarten teacher."
No. This is a great opportunity to work with a dynamic team of professionals who are passionate about their work. Well, she's really beautiful in V6, so I guess I couldn't really help it now.
My husband looked really weak as he sat there, which was unlike his usual confident attitude, probably because the doctor had already informed him that he had to undergo surgery.
I can't keep on going on doing this anymore. Let's just get a divorce.
Hey, no, wait a minute. I only just lost myself for a moment now, and I won't do this ever again.
No, I'm sorry, but this is not acceptable. You would say that you wouldn't do it because doing it even once is completely unacceptable.
No way. You heard everything from my doctor, you? Then I'm going to be in a wheelchair my whole life from now on.
Yes, so
What do you mean? So, what the hell talking about? You should at least take care of me.
and why should I even do that for you? Why should I, who got cheated on by another woman behind my back, have care of you?
That's because I'm the one who's been providing for you and our daughter time.
Excuse me, it's because I began to do my part that we're able to make ends meet and live decently like we have been all this time. Kevin, we cannot rely on your input because it was too unstable. Have you ever forgotten the times when we were only earning 1,000 or 2,000 a month?
Well, that's a good question. I think it depends on what you mean by good. If you mean effective, then yes, I believe that's social. Media can be an effective tool in promoting your business or brand. It allows you to reach a wider audience and engage with customers in ways that were previously impossible. However, if you mean easy, then no, I don't think it's always easy. Social media requires time, effort, and strategy to be successful.
Anyway, I have definitely set my mind on getting a divorce from you. I'll even request for alimony from.
Oh, you must be crazy. And who do you think is the worst human being?
You were the one who left our daughter all alone so that you could have an affair with that woman.
The mistress who was beside Kevin was in pain when she was first brought in. And since she had been given a very strong anesthetic, she was now sleeping deeply.
Anyway, let's just talk to our lawyers about what and how we should proceed with this.
With that said, I left the hospital. Well, I'm definitely going to be back soon. First comes divorce, then Ion'll have request for alimony and the child. I have to make sure I get everything that I am entitled to. I also went back home to my parents and explained what had happened. They were both very angry about what had happened and said, "I'll take good care of your grandchild and you can come back now, Sadie." And the next day, I went to the school to turn in all the documents for my daughter, as she would no longer be attending kindergarten. When I got there was a bit of commotion in the kindergarten because teacher, who was Kevin's mistress, had just arrived. No one would know that she was in the hospital and even sleeping in the same room as my husband. I looked at the commotion as I finished handing in the necessary documents and finished the paperwork, and I was just about to leave the kindergarten. Then, that's when Tammy, a perfect friend of Nicole, started talking to me.
Oh, how rare of you to be here. Your husband is the one who comes the time.
So I explained that my husband had car accident. Then to that, Tammy said, "Oh, real. I even go visit Kevin at the hospital time with my husband." I using this as a great opportunity that the person who was also with Kevin was also being hospital the same room. And I also told Tammy to go visit them soon as possible, as I knew that they would be happy to see her. At that time, Kevin and his mistress were still in the same room, which is why soon after Tammy visited the hospital, I got a call from her right away. I acted like I was crying to Tammy, telling her that my husband was actually having an affair with the kindergarten teacher.
You know, Kevin had even lied to me about going on a business trip, but actually went on a road trip with his kindergarten teacher behind my back. And even the other day, Kevin had his daughter Nicole at home all alone. Kevin and that teacher could have met up with each other. So I decided to get a divorce from Kevin, move back home to my parents, and move my daughter to a different kindergarten.
Since Tammy has a strong sense of justice, she was outraged by what had happened. That's totally unacceptable. And after that, it seems like the S quickly became known throughout the kindergarten. So, as a result, that teacher, who was a mistress, had to quit the kindergarten. And that teacher is now suing Kevin for causing the accident, which left her face scarred for life. Then Kevin called me once saying, "Help me." But of course, I ignored him saying, "That's none of my business." I also told Kevin that the only thing we can talk about is the divorce and child support, and hung up on him. For a while after that, Kevin was reluctant to divorce me, but his lawyer finally convinced him, and he signed the divorce papers. After that, I took what I could get in alimony and child support, and Kevin agreed to the promise that he would see my daughter at all times in the future. My lawyer told me that Kevin had been crying the whole time, begging to tell me that Kevin would never again, and that he wanted me back at. If Kevin needed me like that, he would have taken care of me properly from the beginning and not done anything stupid like cheating on me with someone else. I apologized to my lawyer saying, "Truly sorry for the trouble I have you." $30,000 from my ex-husband and $20,000 from my mistress in alimony. As for Kevin's mistress, it seemed that she was very confident about her looks because of that. However, after seeing the huge, hideous scar on her face, she lost all confidence and became depressed. She is no longer able to go out as frequently as before. Now, it seems like Kevin's mistress at her own parents' house, and she shut herself into her room most. And as for my ex-husband, since he has been hospitalized and is unable to work, most of his clients have left him with no job as a freelancer. Actually, it seems like Kevin was fined a penalty fee because he was unable to work on some projects due to an accident and missed the deadline for submitting them. And currently, my ex-husband is paralyzed and is now living at home in a wheelchair. His parents are taking care of him, being in such a situation as a man who got divorced because of his own affair and what he had done. It must have been very difficult for Kevin. This is what Kevin and his mistress for what they did. And on the other hand, I was able to return to full-time employment after a year of working part-time. In the company where I had worked before, I was able to go back to being a full-time employee again later that same year. And now I make enough money to even my daughter all on my own. I will continue to work hard while my wonderful daughter grow up. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.